My name is Patricia Rodriguez. I am the events manager here at Flatiron School. I'm really excited to have you join us this afternoon, evening, wherever you guys are joining us from, for this wonderful discussion called Jump, Overcoming 2024's Barriers in Career Transition. Today, we're joined by Quianna Rodriguez, who is one of our senior career coaches, who is just constantly engaging, supporting, just being a superstar for our students. And I'm very excited to have you guys meet her. Before I take it away, before I let her take it away, there will be an opportunity for you guys to ask questions. The Q&A feature is open, so if you guys have any questions during the presentation, any reactions, please feel free to drop them there or using the chat feature. Again, this is recorded, so once this event has completed, you will receive an email in a couple of days with the recording in case you do want to rewatch. I will be turning off my camera now, so Quianna, take it away.
Thank you so much. And let me tell you, that's a star right there as well. To be able to put together so many wonderful events is very, very amazing. So I thank you, Patricia, for doing all that you do. And I'm excited to speak to each and every one of you today. I know we have a more intimate group, so this allows us to ask more questions. Please feel free as we go through this to ask questions in the chat. And as Patricia was saying, that we can add questions in the Q&A feature and we can address some of those at the end of the workshop. So again, my name is Quianna Rodriguez, and today we're going to talk a little bit about some of those barriers that some career transition people that are experiencing in career transition are experiencing in 2024. I see some people are from Houston. Welcome. Texas is in the house. I am in Austin, Texas, and I wonder if you can add in the chat where you're located. I would love to celebrate everyone on where they are and say, welcome. Raleigh, North Carolina, awesome. New Jersey is in the house. All right. So we got some East Coast going on here. All East Coast, Florida, Brooklyn, Queens. So we got some of the boroughs. All right. Woo, woo. All right. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we got Denver. So we're moving a little bit over. Austin. Every time I say Austin, everyone is like, oh, it's such a great place. It's wonderful there. I've either been there or I've lived there. I love it here. It's home for me now. So as I mentioned, my name is Quianna Rodriguez. I am the senior team lead of career coaching, and I've been a career strategist for over 11 years. I got certified in career coaching back in 2013. I have many certifications. I have a degree in education, and I've been at Flatiron for the last 5 years. December, it will be 6. I have a pretty diverse background. I am an Air Force veteran. I do have experience in IT, education, and coaching. And I was in IT before the cloud even existed. So it was many moons ago. But we we are all right. We have evolved so far from back in the day, from floppy disk and Windows 95. So this is going to be a very fun topic today. But some of the things that I absolutely love is being able to pair my love for education and coaching together here at Flatiron. So not only do I lead a team of coaches, I also coach one-on-one for the students here that graduate from Flatiron. And this is something that brings a lot of joy to see people go through this program. They go through the ups and downs of, oh my God, I don't know if I can, finish it. And then they finish it, and that's an accomplishment. And then they come to coaching, and then they find a job, and they have made their dreams come true in making this transition. And so being a part of that is a very rewarding, and I absolutely love what I do here. I also do a lot of training, not only with the team, but also with students, and that's something else that I enjoy. So I am also a mother of 3 wonderful children, that I love dearly. Looking at our agenda today, we're going to dive a little bit further into the job market over the last roughly about 2 years, from the end of the pandemic to where we are now in August 2024. We'll look at some of those top barriers this year that people are facing and as a career changer, as well as how Flatiron could help in being a solution to some of these challenges. And of course, as Patricia said, at the end, I would love for you to ask any question. We can have answer any questions that you may have after this presentation. Let's start with really exploring some of the trends in this tech market. And I'm going to be able to drop a link in the chat so that you guys will have access to this particular source where I got this information from, and you can search through it yourself. But whenever we're looking at different data, this is important to kind of not only look at one source, but look at multiple sources. So the one thing we know is that the job market, and as far as the tech job market, it's not something that's static. The landscape is not static. And so in that, we know that the tech market is always evolving. It's very hard to be, I guess, a true expert in knowing everything in the tech field, because you can be the latest and greatest today, and tomorrow new technology comes out and you have to build your skills. And again, we'll talk a little bit about those skill gaps in this workshop here in a little bit. But this is one thing that I see now, a lot of people that have experience because of the AI boom and how it has made a lot of changes in the industry. Now they have to go and get training and brush up on their skills. And with the market ever changing in that sense, we've seen a lot of changes within companies as well. So back in 2023, I would say that, once about the end of the pandemic, we've seen a lot of layoffs. So in 2023, for the entire year, there were about 2011 companies that laid off individuals, and the amount of individuals totaled 429,000 people. So a little over 400,000 people in 2023 were affected and impacted by the layoffs from these different companies. And that was about 1,100 people per day, right? So in 2023, there was a huge impact to the tech industry when it came to job loss. And in this year, the good thing that we've seen that it has definitely slowed down when it comes to layoffs. And I apologize, I said I was going to add this in the chat and I have not done that yet. So this is the one chart that I'm going to get to after this, but let me add it to the chat. Now, looking at 2024, we are almost through the year. It's hard to even say, right? But we are headed into September, and I made sure that I updated this chart from yesterday so that it'll be the latest information. And of course, you can continue to take a look at some of this information and keep updated with it. But so far, we have seen about 805 tech companies have layoffs, and this is a total of 209,000. So about half from last year that we've seen. And this is, a big difference from the year before. And that gives us a little bit of insight to how we are bouncing back from, I would say, that major point where we had a lot of layoffs. I think the biggest thing that is contributing to that is that initially, and again, I'll show you a couple of different resources. Initially, when AI introduced itself, and we looked at, there was a lot of layoffs. I think that was because a lot of companies were trying to figure out how they can stay keep up with the market and incorporate AI in their companies. So they shifted from different initiatives and began to work on some of those initiatives that focus on AI and how they can have incorporate some of those into those initiatives. So looking at some of these trends and knowing the trends is very important so that you could learn a little bit more about how you can overcome some of these barriers. Again, if we dip deeper into some of the numbers and look at the specific open tech positions, the number of open tech positions, it peaked around April 2022, right? And I did a little bit of research and I looked around when ChatGPT initially hit the scene. And I think ChatGPT, even though AI existed, it has been around for some time, but ChatGPT is what really changed the scene significantly as far as like the big headlines, big boom when it came to AI. And around November 2022 is when ChatGPT initially came out. And so if we look at this chart, you can start seeing the dip of open jobs around March 2023. And this was the lowest dip of open positions around that time. And the interesting thing was I had a student, he was like, oh, Quianna, what's happening is like all the layoffs are happening. A lot of people are flooding the market. And so now the market is saturated and all these people that are getting laid off is taking all the entry-level positions and I'm not going to be able to find anything. Now, the interesting thing, I was like, okay, I said, I understand your concern. However, where are you finding that data? I'm a person to, it's great to be able to see things that's going on, but having, being able to dig and find a little bit more information and learning the bigger picture of what's going on versus having a clip of what's going on. So I asked him, where are you seeing this data? And he didn't have it. I said, okay, let's dig a little bit further. Let's find out. I said, let's ask simple questions, and questions are very powerful. So I said, let's ask a simple question and say, where did the individuals that were laid off, where did they go? So we Googled, of course, Google is our friend, right? And so I Googled this question. And then so different articles popped up. And one in particular I thought was very interesting. I will add this in the chat as well, because again, I want you to feel empowered with information as well. This one was individual. They tracked about 1,100 workers that showed that they were open to work on LinkedIn, and they were affected by the layoffs. And, to give you some insight that after I would say they were impacted, I would say around November 20 or January. They were looking at people from November and January of 2023. November 2022. And they said that by March 2023 that they were able to find jobs. So they were able to gain employment faster than they've seen before. So about 39% of that 1,100 people already had a job. Now, keep in mind, they also looked at the experience, and the experience for these individuals were tech professionals that had 11, around average 11 years, which are not entry level job seekers. And that also meant that these individuals are not going to be going after some of those entry level, those internship, those lower level opportunities. These are experienced individuals. So that also gives us a little insight of the individuals that were let go. Typically in layoffs, they usually do management and more higher level individuals. And so this is something that reflected those details as well. Let me add this here in the chat so you all can take a look as well. And I thought this was interesting because it showed that around March in 2023 is when these individuals, a lot of those individuals were getting jobs. So when you look at the dip hitting around March 23, that's when the lowest dip of open jobs were available. So a lot of those people were getting jobs back into. I also saw an article that individuals that's been in the tech field for quite some time, they were burnt out, right? They were not interested in re-entering, reapplying, going through that process. They had enough reserves to be able to go out and do some of the things that they might want to, and they did not re-enter the tech industry. So that's something else to consider. So like, as I mentioned, there's all these little details that really contribute to the big picture versus saying, oh, there's a lot of layoffs, the field is saturated. When we think about tech and how it constantly evolves, there will always be opportunities because we are always evolving. There's always something new. There's always something great. And there's always people creating and being visionaries and moving the technology forward. So this is something also to consider. But to round out this particular slide, if we look at from the lowest dip in March 2023, which was around 160,000, since then, in 2024, August 2024, we've seen an increase of 31% from the lowest dip. So now we see about 213 open opportunities in tech. So, and this is, I guess this is more of a wide range as well. And this is great news because with so many opportunities out there, that opens the space for growth and people to enter the field. Let me continue. And with that being said, let's take a moment to look at some of the barriers. Now, I know that 2024 definitely has had its obstacles, but there are plenty of opportunities for solutions to some of these barriers. In this section, we are actually going to cover about 8 different, I would say, barriers that people have faced. Some of the top 8 that we've seen that people have faced. And again, looking at this list, when we have like skill gaps, as I mentioned earlier, this is a tech industry and the latest and greatest, you're always going to be training. When I was in tech, I did information assurance and I was a system admin. And I remember every year I had to go to system admin training. I had the opportunity to do A+ back in the day. A+ was big deal. And now, it's interesting because I was in cybersecurity before it was really called cybersecurity. And now there's plenty of different certifications that you can get. But when it comes to compliance, there's always evolving. And even from then, when I was in tech, now we have GRC, which GRC wasn't there. And so these are things that are constantly evolving. And so skill gaps are very important. Workplace flexibility, this is something else. As we know, during the pandemic, there were plenty of, everybody was remote. And now we are shifting, and I'll talk more about that. We'll look at longer hiring process, inflation, some lack of experience or entry-level opportunities. Definitely talk about that because that's a hot topic. Looking at some of those more seasoned professionals, that's what I like to call them. I don't like to call them older workers because I would be considered a seasoned professional, right? And some of those absence of reliable professional network, looking at that network, and imposter syndrome. All right, so this one, it looks like, there it goes. So when we look at skills gap, this is something where a job seeker might not have the necessary skills that the employer is looking for. So again, for example, as I mentioned earlier, AI. AI is the latest and greatest, it's the hot topic. And right now there's a lot of individuals trying to do different trainings, get certificates on AI, going through different courses so that they can get better in this and they can add it to their resume. And skill gaps can it's there's great solutions for skill gaps. That's one, doing different courses. However, Flatiron, it does offer that intensive hands-on training that helps with bridging those skill gaps. And this is something that will allow you to not only have those hands-on training, but being able to keep up with the market demands. We offer software engineering, data science, product design, cybersecurity. And this is something that will definitely help bridge that gap with some of those skill gaps. Employers are definitely not only looking for those tech skills, they're also looking for those soft skills. So when you think about making a transition, you also want to definitely consider all the things that you bring from your previous experience that could definitely benefit an employer moving forward. So like your good communication, problem solving, all of those skills, being resilient, those skills are very important in making this transition into tech. Looking at workplace flexibility, as I mentioned, in the pandemic, we were all remote, except for the essential workers. Of course, you had some individuals that were had to still be in person. But now we're seeing how companies are shifting. There are some companies that are still fully remote. Then you have some organizations that have more a hybrid. Well, at hybrid, if you're not familiar, it means that you might work 3 days in the office and 2 days from home. So you have both that remote and in person. And then some companies have gone all the way back in person. And as you know, the remote opportunities, it wasn't very prevalent, I would say, before the pandemic. A lot of companies didn't favor that remote. And so not everyone has had experience or have been exposed to working remotely. And with that said, that if you know, if you haven't really had that experience and you haven't been really exposed to a remote work, even during the pandemic, just know that Flatiron School has that flexible learning environment. Not only will you have that opportunity to gain some of that time management, you'll be able to collaborate with other peers, and then you're also able to utilize different digital tools, the curriculum. One of the things that I guess I forgot to mention is I'm currently going through the program right now. I'm taking the cybersecurity course, and this is exactly it. You know, you have all these tools, you get to collaborate, you get to build that community, and as well as learning how to manage your time, because I'm gonna tell you, the time will go by very quickly if you take the flex program. So looking at that flexibility is something also to consider. So when we look at the hiring process, this is something that I know that is very concerning to a lot of people, that you know, people are seeing that people are open to work longer. It seems like there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to the hiring process. But let me tell you, not only here at Flatiron, we have career services, we help prep students for the job search. We have a job search strategy. This is part of my team and what we do. And we help help students navigate the job search so they can expedite the process. Now, this is something else you want to consider. And as I mentioned, when you look at the facts, when you go on LinkedIn, you might see people share their story. Oh, I've been job seeking and I haven't found the opportunity and this and this and that. Again, what questions do we need to ask? So the first question that comes to mind is, what are they doing? Are they networking? Are they applying to the right jobs? Are they just throwing out a wide net and just applying to just anything and everything? Where are they located? Are they in a place where there's not a lot of tech in that location? Are they flexible? Can they move? There's so many questions to consider when you see some of these posts and you don't know the full story. And so working with a career coach allows you to kind of navigate that landscape, looking at some of those things that could possibly be a challenge. So I'll give you an example. I had a student recently, software engineer, was in a location in the middle of nowhere. I mean, and there was nothing around where he lived. And he knew this, right? He understood. However, he was not going to move. It was not an option. So being able to know where you are, what you need, what you value, all these things. So we knew he couldn't move, right? But we also knew where he was located. It was not in a good spot. So what strategies did we need to do? One, we really had to dig into networking, talking to your existing network, talking to some new people. How, what are some of the events you can attend? Who can you talk to? What associations can you be a part of? There's so many things that we did to incorporate in the strategy. And he was able not only to find one, he was able to find two opportunities. I was so proud of him for all the effort that he put in. Just, yes, big win, big win. And it did take some time. But again, he knew it would take time because he knew where he was low. He knew what the opposition was against him. And one of the things that I love that one of my colleagues brought up is that when you're going into a job search, some people, they don't tend to like to have a plan. And one of the analogies that she shared was like, when you go on vacation, do you just get up and go? Do you just get up and go on a vacation? No. You have to, where are you going? How long are you going? Is it hot? Is it cold? What type of clothes? Is it one of those places that might be cold at night? So you might bring like a light sweater, or is it in the islands where you know that it's going to be a tropical environment, so you can just bring all light, airy attire? So you would go and plan and prepare. However, a lot of people, they tackle the job search just going willy-nilly, just going out there and approaching it in I would say in that type of fashion, just going out there and starting to apply. And so that type of approach will make a very long, frustrating job process. So I might have ran that one into the ground, but I know that this one is a big topic that people feel that is a big challenge, but there are different things that you can do. And I know the career coaches here on my team helps our students overcome that. Now, adapting to inflation. Inflation has definitely impacted not only the cost of goods, rent, mortgages. It doesn't matter whether you're renting or you own your home, because property values, when you pay taxes on your property, has gone up because inflation has caused the value of homes to increase in such a rate. So all of that has impacted us. And I don't even seen where someone, they often shop at Walmart. And so they went into their cart, and I don't know, I know, I know, eggs for $10, absolutely ridiculous. Good thing my son is allergic to eggs, so I don't buy eggs. But I saw this individual, he went into his the app of Walmart, and he saw that he spent, he got a group of groceries back in 2021 or 2022 or something like that, right? And he was like, how about if I just click the buy again? Let's see what the difference it would be. And you can try this too if you ever use, I go to Target very often. So I could do the same thing. I go to Sam's as well. And then looking at what the difference is, and you will be amazed. It was actually triple the amount that he paid and only a few years ago. So inflation is a really, really big thing. Okay. Now, looking at that, the skills that are taught at Flatiron really empower our students to be adaptable. The skills that you're going to learn, it goes past any specific industry. So you're not limited to the Googles, the Microsofts. You're not limited to just those industries. If you're interested in healthcare, there's plenty of tech opportunities in healthcare. If you're interested in outdoors, right? The great outdoors. There's tech within the great outdoors. You are not limited to strictly the big tech companies. And that's one thing that is very powerful about the things that you'll learn at Flatiron School. Another big one is the lack of experience and entry-level jobs. Now, sometimes it might seem like it's a catch-22. I see so many people, again, on LinkedIn, they say, hey, you say that I need experience, but in order to get experience, I have to get the job. So it doesn't make sense for you to say you need experience, but you're not willing to hire. Now, I know that this is sounds like a catch-22 for job changers, but I'm gonna tell you, a lot of these job postings are not specifically what these companies are looking for. And we really look at some of the things that are a good fit for our students. And we in our career coaching, they help, provide guidance for these the students, and in the career coaching to help them figure out what what specifically they should focus on in this area. Specifically, the job postings, there are I've had plenty of people that I know that are in HR. Sometimes the HR professional, they're the ones who create these job postings, so they don't know exactly what the organization, those areas of the organization is looking for, and they are going off of old templates that they had for different postings. And again, I always tell students, when we look at the job market and you're job seeking, a lot of people are so nervous to interact and talk and get engaged. The whole thing is that people don't realize that a lot of companies don't necessarily have their hiring process solidified. A lot of times they haven't had everything in place. And even before the pandemic, I had another student, again, I've been here for a very long time. I remember that she went through an interview, and she was on the technical portion. She was a software engineer. She went through the technical portion of this interview, and she had the tech interview, but it was a double, so she was meeting two people that day. And she went into the second one, and the second interviewer was asking her the exact same questions that they just asked her from the first round. And so she was being honest. She was like, hey, I just want to bring to your attention that these questions that they just asked me these questions. I just want to be honest, because otherwise she could have just answered them and act like she aced it. aced it, but she was very honest. And she did not get that opportunity. She actually got an even better opportunity. But that just gave some insight to, hey, the employer doesn't always have it together. So how can you go into these opportunities and looking for some of these companies that are a good fit for you? They're not just what's a good fit for them. All right. So that's just something, a little detail. Now going to our seasoned professionals, okay? Ageism is a real thing. It is. And I understand that this might be a concern for our seasoned professionals. However, one of the things that we definitely want to highlight is not only learning and gaining those new experiences that you can get from the program at Flatiron, but also looking at your background and all of those wonderful skills that you bring to the table. As a seasoned professional, this is not a new rodeo for you. You have been able to engage with different teams, different managers, different organizations. Most of the time, sometimes some seasoned professionals have been at one company for a very long time. But even if you have been at a company for a very long time, you have experienced different leaderships, different colleagues, different things throughout those years. And all of that experience is able to bring everything together and have an ability to be a very successful candidate. And that also helps set you apart from everyone else. Now looking at the network. Not only are networking one of the most important aspect of any job search, I know that some people are saying, well, I don't know anyone. I just really don't know anyone. I don't have a network. I haven't networked with anyone else. And I just don't even know where to begin. And I'm afraid to go out and speak to individuals out there. Now, just keep in mind that that's perfectly fine. And I also, students that are more introverted, that might not feel like they can go out there and talk to people and just, I guess you would say, do more of a like a cold introduction. I always tell them, why don't you find an opportunity out there where you can do something you enjoy? I love video games, so maybe I will find a meetup that is all about Call of Duty, right? And I know that I can talk about Call of Duty all day, all night. So I will go and find this group. I can meet up with them. I'm in Austin, Texas, and 9 times out of 10, I know that there's somebody that's going to be in tech because there's a heavy tech influence here in Austin, Texas. So if I go to this meetup, I'm sure I'll probably meet somebody in tech. And then from there, I might be able to introduce myself and be able to see how that goes. But that is something that's a low risk, right? You're able to go in and do something that you really enjoy. But that's one way. Here at Flatiron, we do have a really vibrant community of alumni. We have instructors and different professionals that students are able to be a part of. There's also the Bletchley community out there. If you have not been a part of it, you can definitely go and be involved in the Bletchley community, where there's so many different opportunities out there when it comes to meeting professionals, getting involved, being part of different challenges that will help increase your tech skills, also finding mentor opportunities within the Bletchley community, and then also being part of some wonderful community events. So networking is very important. I'm going to tell you, it is the #1 way of finding your next opportunity. And most students, as I go through, that come through Flatiron, when we talk about networking and we say, how did you find your job before? And most of them is like, that's right. I talked to my uncle and I got a job here, or I had a friend that connected me with so and so and I was able to get a job. And you've networked before and you don't even realize it. And this is just another opportunity to do so. Now, imposter syndrome is a big thing. It is something that it paralyzes you. It can bring down your confidence, and it causes a lot of doubt in your skills and your ability, almost as if people feel like that people are going to catch you in a lie and find out that you're a fake. Well, here at Flatiron, we do have one-on-one career coaching that helps you not only with that growth mindset, we help our students build up their confidence in their abilities and skills and help them put their best foot forward and overcome that imposter syndrome. And sometimes when it comes to imposter syndrome, it's something that um, really causes students to slow their progress when it comes to their job searching, because they feel like they have to do more and get more and certifications and this and that, because they feel like they need to be more competitive. But I'm gonna tell you that extra certifications are not necessary. Extra certificates are not necessary. It's important to know what your skills are and finding those opportunities that need what you bring to the table. And that's what, as a career coach, is some of the things that I help my students do. Now, looking at career services at Flatiron School, what we are here to help support our students through the challenge of the job search and help them achieve their goals. Anyone that comes to Flatiron they have different reasons. Some students come to Flatiron looking for financial gain. They know that the tech industry can be very lucrative, and they can increase their finances in that way. Some students really love tech and they just wanted to make a difference and contribute and learn something new. Others are able to or come at it from a whole different angle. So there's so many different reasons why students come through the program. And from there, when we are with our students, we're able to kind of hone in on what their goals are and help support them and meet them where they are and help them achieve those goals. Now, all students are in the driver's seat of their job search. So it's not like a career coach is going to go out and apply for you. A career coach is not going to interview for you. And those things. So to give you an example, if you've never had a career coach is an individual that partners with you from an unbiased standpoint, where we're not therapists, we're not mentors, but we sit down, we ask questions that are able to bring a lot of those answers that you have inside of you out and help you build awareness and gain that way to move forward. So to give you an example, therapy, the way I describe it, it addresses the past to the present, and coaching, it addresses the present to the future. So we're looking how we can move you forward. And our employer partnerships, they are part of career services, and they go out and they build relationships with companies that are looking for tech professionals. And those companies have the opportunity to connect with our students. And it's completely up to the companies to decide which grads they want to connect with. But this is another added resource and benefit for our grads to be in front of hiring partners and allowing them to be seen by these organizations. Now, we have come to the end of the workshop. I will stop sharing. It looks like I'm so sorry. I usually check the chat. I guess I was very into this conversation because this is something that I think a lot of people consider when they're making a career change, and there's different challenges, and going through these different barriers, it's definitely something good to address. Okay, so if I were to look at some of these questions, it says, where is this data source from? And wondering if any of those jobs are old listings. A LinkedIn versus Monster versus other job boards. So that is a great question. Let me see if I can pull it up. Do, 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 do. This is something, if I can find more information on this website to find specifically about them. Okay, so they are, oh, I see. So they're able to find different they're pulling a lot of these information from different resources and looking at some of these tech companies. They did raise money from VCs, so it looks like this is more like a startup type feel. So I hope that answers your question. And it says, in terms of jobs, the most challenging time for anyone graduating in a boot camp or college is to land that first job. That being said, do you think that remote jobs are harder to get in versus the in-person, considering that you are changing your career currently? All right, so this is a very great question. I think that there are definitely still some remote opportunities out there. Now, what I have seen is that it also depends on the location. Again, I'm in Austin, Texas. There's a lot of there are a lot of tech opportunities here, and some of them are remote. And so looking at that, I think the last I seen, there was still a good, maybe about 30% of opportunities that were still remote, and then hybrid is increasing. So it's leveling out where, right after the pandemic, it was more like 50% were still remote. So again, I think that if you, depending on where you're located, oh, no, I think you said you're in Houston. So looking at Houston, there's a lot of oil and gas there. I think that you could still find some remote opportunities in there. Oh, I see. I see. You're a former professional soccer player and soccer coach. Oh my goodness. So you would have a lot of great skills, especially if you're a soccer coach, but a soccer player. And I think you said you are going into software engineering. I'm sorry, I'm reading this as I go down. So now I'm seeing all what you've entered in there, Diego. Um, but with that being said, I definitely would encourage you to utilize AI and see, as a professional soccer player and soccer coach, what are some great skills from those professions that would translate well into a software engineering position, and see what it says, see what it comes up with, because it would be very interesting to see what some of those transferable skills would be. And I mean, off the top of my head, again, team, team player, teamwork, right? I think also communication, being able, to navigate as a soccer player, you're looking at what's in front of you, you're looking across the field, you got to be aware. So having that awareness and that focus is very important, especially in software engineering. So I would love to know what specific skills would be helpful. Let's see. Oh my goodness. I would, if you guys want, let me go LinkedIn, and I'm going to add my LinkedIn here in the chat. So if you ever want to connect, if you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out. Let me add this here. That's amazing. Oh, okay. All right, awesome. Thank you. Let's see. Okay, so I'm getting mixed messages about what a cover letter should look like. Should it be a bullet point, or of how you met requirements, or tell my story and why I make a career, why I'm making this career transition in addition to meeting requirements? And what does it mean to disclose disabilities versus not? Okay, so there's a couple of questions in there. So a cover letter, I think, is really, you can approach it in different ways, and you're probably hearing multiple things because you can approach it in multiple ways. So with that being said, one of the key focus, no matter which format you choose, is the first area you want to introduce yourself, and introduce like the position that you're applying for. So hello, my name, well, you wouldn't say hello, of course. You would say, I'm Quianna Rodriguez, and I am very interested in the cybersecurity engineering position that you have available within your company, right? So just being able to incorporate who you are and the position that you're applying for, and begin to introduce yourself. That second area is where you can sell yourself. This is where you're supposed to have that selling feature. So that portion can still be in paragraph form where you are selling yourself, right? But you can also approach it saying, like, specifically depending on what position you're applying for, like if they're asking for some of these specific things, and you can point out some of the value that you bring in a bullet point format, this is another way that you can say some of the highlights of this is boom, boom, boom. And it's kind of addressing and kind of enticing that hiring manager to want to read more. Those are the times where you can start doing that bullet point, or you can have that selling point just in a paragraph form. That last one is the closing, where you let them know that your resume is enclosed. You also want to thank them for their time and consideration. And so those are the three major areas of a cover letter. And again, that middle section, you can approach your selling point in many different ways. So I hope that was helpful. I'm so glad you saw value in this, Diego. Thank you so much. And you said you're trying to build your new resume. Again, if you have any questions, please follow up on LinkedIn. I would love to support you. Any tips on salary negotiation with blended prior experience? When it comes to salary negotiation, it is so important to know specifically what the market is calling for. And different job titles will command different salaries. So I'll give an example. I was just speaking with one of my students, cybersecurity professional. A company reached out to him for a data technician position. Initially, they just said data technician, right? So the salary, usually when you hear technician, usually that's more like an entry-level type role. But this particular position was a data technician, but a site engineer. So that job title, when we looked it up, it was way different when it came to the salary. It was a lot different when it came to the salary. So knowing what that position is really calling for, even understanding the average salaries for these different, right? Yes, exactly. So looking at the different levels, it can be a big range. So just making sure that you do your research, knowing that, then you can go into some of these negotiations with with a powerful stance. Then on top of salary negotiation, again, I know that every time we get these different questions, it's kind of hard to answer. It does depend, because negotiation also comes with what the terms in the contract or the offer is giving. So there might be, I have students that got really great benefits. I had students that were in the DC area, so they had metro benefits. There were some that have medical benefits and all these different benefits that could be negotiable, right? So let's say that you have a partner that has healthcare, so you don't need healthcare through that company. Could you ask for more money and stay underneath your significant other's insurance? That's one way to do it. So you want to be able to look at the terms. What is the offer? So, sharing in that offer, and then come up with ways that you might be able to negotiate more money versus a different benefit that you might want. So salary negotiation is, again, it's kind of tricky to give you like a solid answer, but that is what I would start with. What that job is really commanding, so you can know what you're worth, and then go from there. So where does the software engineer stack up against other tech jobs like cybersecurity, data entry, when it comes to open jobs? Very good question. Now, cybersecurity is a big one. CyberSeek, let me see. This particular resource is really cool because this is a very accurate current of how many jobs are in cybersecurity. Now, software engineering, I think, is very relevant, because when you think about all of these different disciplines, they're all tied together. Without the software engineer, you won't you won't be able to necessarily collect the data that the data scientist is able to use. Without the software engineer, there wouldn't be any data to secure for the cybersecurity professional, right? So when we look at all of these disciplines, they're all connected in a way. So you really won't have one without the other. So I understand how people are feeling like when it comes to the software engineering discipline, that AI might take it over. I personally don't think so. I think that it's going to continue to evolve, and that is not going to completely eliminate software engineering positions. And even when you look at AI is not always right. You still, you cannot fully trust AI at this point. And so one of the things that you want to really consider is, how is the software, and I would definitely research, how is the software engineering industry evolving, because it's not going to go away. AI, in my opinion, is not going to replace software engineers. So again, in all of these things, begin to ask more questions. I would definitely, Angel, to definitely go and do some of that research. I know we're at time.
Yes, I popped back in just to say that we are at time. This is a wonderful event. Thank you so much, Quianna, per usual. Not only that, I feel like I learned a lot of stuff, and I think what I gather the most out of this event is just like perspective. Like, don't take these like big headlines as like face value. Like, there's so many details, there's so many things that can help us understand more the job market, and it's not as daunting as we think that it is. There's a lot of room for opportunity, there's a lot of room for growth. And I think if I've heard anything with like the ongoing events that we have on campus, is, as you mentioned, AI is not replacing us. Like, people still have to teach AI. Like, this is still very much a thing. So we're not going anywhere. And I hope that Flatiron School in some type of way can support this. I am going to drop now this feedback survey. Just let us know if you like this event. Let us know if you enjoyed us, what we can do better. We love hearing your feedback. And this is something that we will use to reiterate on events and just make them better. Quianna dropped her LinkedIn earlier. Please feel free to connect with her. Please feel free to connect with me as well. I do have a very common name, but once you put Flatiron School, you will find me. Please feel free to connect with me. I would love to see you guys in our upcoming events. And yeah, if you guys are ever wondering what is Flatiron School up to, what else can you join, how can you participate, just check out our website. We have wonderful events constantly happening. And for anyone that has attended this event and you're still here and you will love to rewatch this, which I definitely will, we will send a follow-up email in the upcoming days with a recording. I hope you guys have a lovely day. Thank you, everyone, and have a good one. Bye, everyone, and good luck in your career transition. You guys got this.